Justin Fields has struggled in camp mightily so far. Justin Fields, we've said it time and time again, from a fantasy perspective, if he is starting, he's going to give you, top 10 upside at the quarterback position any week that he starts. And I think that's a fair thing to say. Justin Fields, the quarterback, though, I have concerns and hesitations, right? Justin Fields has struggled mightily in camp so far. I don't put too much stock into training camp interceptions and, all those things. But the reports, it's not even just the interceptions. It's the sloppiness for the offense, right? There were reports that came out that like the first play of practice the other day, they have only 10 guys on the field, right? They're pre-snap penalties already in camp. It seems extremely messy. And, it's just, I don't think this coaching staff, right, with Aaron Glenn is going to put up with, sloppiness and ineffectiveness at the at the quarterback position. And I think they could have a pretty quick leash if things get messy, because they have a very capable quarterback in Tyrod Taylor. And so, it's going to be interesting. I do have a little bit of concerns there, though I will say Garrett Wilson has been able to play well, with bad quarterback play. And so, thankfully they have a capable quarterback in Tyrod Taylor, as a backup if Fields struggles. Taylor did sign a 2-year contract, and he's getting about $8.5 million guaranteed at signing. So, is there some concern for maybe other players? I can understand and I get it for, people that are maybe hesitant with this Jets offense. I have Justin Fields currently in my quarterback rankings for fantasy. I have him as my quarterback 12. Right ahead of Brock Purdy. If I'm drafting Justin Fields in fantasy, folks, you're drafting a second quarterback. Generally speaking, I don't like to draft the second quarterback if I can avoid it, especially if it's a 1 quarterback league, and I draft a quarterback high. But with all the quarterback value, right, that's there later on, Fields pairing him up with a guy like a Justin Herbert, right, who goes later, CJ Stroud, Jordan Love, right, like go and look at all quarterbacks that are in stable, good offenses, and target them as your quarterback 2 behind Justin Fields. That would be my recommendation. Breece Hall, I think, is going to be really good. When we look at some of the guys and the weapons in this offense for the Jets, I know people have some concerns about Breece Hall, right? And will he get vultured? I think Breece Hall is going to be just fine. He's going at a really, really good price right now, in my opinion. He's running back 14, pick 32 off the board. So you're getting him in the mid-second round to even late second round in a lot of drafts. And right now I have Breece Hall as my RB14. So I have him right at consensus. I'm not too high. I'm not too low. I recognize that there are some concerns in this offense, and I wouldn't blame anybody for being hesitant drafting Breece. And then Garrett Wilson on the flip side, right now I have Garrett Wilson as my wide receiver 12. He's in my tier 3. He's behind Ladd McConkey. He's ahead of JSN. I have Ladd as my wide receiver 10. I have Garrett as my wide receiver. I'm sorry, I have Ladd as my wide receiver 11. I have Garrett as my wide receiver 12, and I have A.J. Brown as my wide receiver 10. So, we'll see what happens with this offense. But as I said, Aaron Glenn, I don't think is going to, put up with it. And thankfully, Tyrod Taylor is a very, very capable quarterback. If things go bad in that offense, or if things are not, percolating the way we had hoped early on.